Frank lay in bed, the heat of the warm summer night clinging to his skin. Despite the stillness of the air, he tossed and turned, unable to find a comfortable position. The silence of the room was deafening, and the absence of his girlfriend Rebecca, by his side, only heightened his restlessness. Finally, he got up and began to pace around the room, seeking some form of comfort. As he walked past his girlfriend's wardrobe, he noticed her soft lace nightgown hanging delicately among the other clothes. Something about it drew him in, and he reached out to touch the fabric, feeling its softness against his skin. The nightgown was made of the softest lace Frank had ever felt. It was delicate and feminine, with intricate floral patterns and a deep V neckline. He couldn't help but imagine his girlfriend wearing it, how it would cling to her curves and make her look even more beautiful than she already was. But as he held the nightgown in his hands, Frank felt an unusual urge. He fought the temptation to try it on himself, knowing how wrong and inappropriate it would be. He tried to push the thought out of his mind, but the temptation was strong. Frank knew he had to get a grip on his desires. He carefully hung the nightgown back in its place, feeling guilty for even considering trying it on. He crawled back into bed, trying to push the image of himself in the nightgown out of his mind. His girlfriend Rebecca was his oldest and dearest friend, having been together since they were both in school together. He couldn't imagine trying on her clothing like that. The image of the delicate and feminine nightgown stayed with Frank, however, even as he drifted off to a restless sleep filled with a strange dream. In a shimmering mist of luminescence, a breathtaking goddess materialized before Frank. Her locks of roseate pink hues cascaded down her ethereal form, while her skin glowed like fine porcelain. She was draped in a gown of glistening fabric that emitted a celestial radiance, as though imbued with otherworldly power. Frank's gaze was captivated by her piercing blue eyes, which emanated a hypnotic aura, drawing him into their depths. With a gentle touch, the goddess leaned in close to Frank and spoke in a whisper that resonated with the sounds of the cosmos.
Embrace your dreams, Frank.
Embrace your desires. Do not fear to claim what you truly seek. Frank felt a wave of confusion wash over him, unsure of what the goddess intended. He had always been content with his life and had never yearned to chase after his aspirations. "I do not understand," he said, his voice laced with a hint of frustration. The goddess smiled at Frank, her expression warm and reassuring. "Trust in yourself and your instincts," she said, her voice a soothing melody that echoed in his mind. With that, Frank awoke, covered in perspiration and confusion. He crawled out of bed and stumbled into the shower, hoping to cool down and wash away the cobwebs in his head. The cool water washed away some of the heat and anxiety and helped him relax, but the sense of confusion remained. As he walked back naked into the bedroom, his eyes were once again drawn to the wardrobe and the nightdress that hung invitingly within it. "Don't be afraid to embrace what you truly want." The words echoed in his head. He flung open the wardrobe, but still he hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should really go through with it. What would Rebecca think? What would the world think? Don't be afraid to embrace what you truly want. That voice again. The temptation was too strong, and before he knew it, he was slipping the nightgown over his head. The fabric was cool and silky against his skin, and he couldn't help but let out a gasp of pleasure as he admired himself in the mirror. The nightgown hugged his body in all the right places, accentuating his curves and making him feel powerful and beautiful. He twirled around, admiring how the delicate lace floated around him like a cloud, and couldn't resist the urge to strike a few poses. He giggled and covered his mouth in a strangely feminine gesture, as he stared at his reflection in the mirror. What was this sudden feeling of warmth in his belly? After spinning for a number of minutes, he couldn't help but feel a sense of comfort and relaxation wash over him. He curled up back onto the bed, feeling the softness of the fabric against his skin as he closed his eyes and let out a contented sigh. For a moment, all of his worries and stresses melted away, replaced by a sense of tranquility and peace. The nightgown seemed to wrap around him like a warm embrace, and he couldn't resist the urge to snuggle deeper into the covers and let himself drift off to sleep. The nightgown seemed to have a magical quality, transporting him to a world where everything was soft, gentle, and beautiful. This time his dream was a long-forgotten memory of a childhood sleepover. In his dream, he was 10 years old again, sitting cross-legged on the floor of his sister's bedroom, with his sister and a small group of her friends. They were playing Truth or Dare, and Frank was trying his best to keep up with the older girls. His sister started to tease him as she always did for playing with the girls, calling him a baby and telling him to go play by himself in his own room. Frank felt his cheeks flush with embarrassment, wanting to run away but also wanting to stay and play. He started to get up off the floor, almost in tears, but then one of his sister's friends, a 12-year-old girl called Rebecca, spoke up. "Leave him alone, Kat," she said, her voice soft and kind. "Let him play with us if he wants to." Frank felt a rush of gratitude as he stared at the girl. She had short black unruly hair, and smiling green eyes, that told him she would be his friend forever. He sat back down while his sister grumbled to herself. Rebecca offered to give him her spare nightshirt to wear and he eagerly accepted it, swapping it for his own. As he slipped the little pink shirt on, he felt a sense of comfort and belonging wash over him. He felt like he was part of the group, like he belonged, just one of the girls. The rest of the night was a blur of giggles and whispered secrets. He pinky swore to be best friends with Rebecca, best friends forever. Frank awoke slowly with a happy and content smile on his face. Even as the dream faded, its memory was vivid and powerful in his mind. He opened his eyes slowly and found two familiar beautiful green eyes staring back at him. "Good morning, Francesca, I see you found my nightgown." Something in her voice made him smile in his sleep. The face that looked back from the pillow next to his had that same unruly black hair, and those same smiling green eyes from his dream. "I'm sorry," he stammered, finally realizing what he was wearing and to whom it belonged. "I was just tired, and I thought I'd try this on. It looked so pretty." "I didn't mean to." His girlfriend cut him off with a laugh, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "It's okay," she said. "You always looked kind of cute in my clothes." Frank looked back at her. "Always? So that time with my sister, and the sleepover actually happened?" Rebecca nodded. "It happened, and lots of other times too, until your dad put a stop to it." She squeezed his hand sadly. "I missed that side of you." Frank looked back at her, stammering a little as he spoke. "Can you please use that name on me again?" "What name?" "Francesca," she asked. Frank nodded and Francesca nodded. "Of course, my darling," her voice gushing with happiness, and her long slender arms slipped around Francesca's hips, pulling her closer. "I love how my nightie looks on you, Francesca. You know you could try on any of my clothes whenever you want, right?" Francesca felt her heart was about to burst with happiness. Years of hidden feelings were bubbling up and coming to the surface. She felt her cheeks were flushed and that she was about to cry happy tears. "Oh, Becky," she sighed. The tears started to pour down her cheeks. "Everything we do here is just between us, Francesca," Rebecca continued. "No one needs to know who we are to each other, and what we do here." They kissed, lips touching gently. "I want to help you become a girl, if that's what you want." Her arms clasped around the shaking body, holding the sobbing girl. Finally Francesca calmed down enough to smile and wipe her eyes. "Yes. I will not be afraid to embrace what I truly want."